All right, I just had to adjust my camera because I was like looking over here trying to make a video when I really should be looking at this screen because this is where all my notes are. So let's get into this chapter three, psychology of money. I recommend this book to everybody. My daughter's going to read it in high school, and I'm super stoked that she's going to. Morgan did a great job with this book. And I think this kind of mentality and what the book goes over can make such a huge difference in the way that we approach day trading. And I know I'm a day trader and I'm doing these study guides, like, pinpointing like day trading and how they can help us in our psychology of day trading, right? Like that's the whole point of these study guides. But even though this is not a day trading book, this one is like on point. It'll help you realize where you are, how you think about money. I highly recommend. All right, so let's just go ahead and get into this, right? So Morgan explains that some people will never feel satisfied no matter how much money they accumulate. Excuse me. The chapter uses stories of billionaires and investors who risked everything, not because they needed more, because they couldn't define enough. The lesson of knowing what enough means is one of the most important, powerful financial skills, right? So when I hit my goals for the day, I need to learn to be done. All right. When I'm like, oh, I'm going to set, like, if I make $700 for the day, I'm done and I'll walk away. But, soon I'm like, oh, but if I could take one more W, I could have that $1,000 day. I could have that $2,000 day, that $6,000 day. And I've been there. Right. And it just depends on your defined risk, actually. Right. Like my profit is not defined by how much money I think I need. My take profits are defined by my actual risk, like what is appropriately mathematically a risk available on this account. Like I have an account I can risk a ton of money on, and then I do my prop firms, and I don't risk very much on the prop firms. Okay, and sure, sometimes in my private account I make a ton more money. I usually just swing trade that one, not as much of a day trader there. But on the prop firms, I'm risking like $100, $200, unless I'm like experimenting with, like a 250 account or something like that. Then yeah, I can risk more. But usually I just risk like 100, $150. So my take profit is usually 3x of that, usually like a minimal. So if I risk 100, I want 300. If I risk 150, I want 450, right? That's pretty normal. But that is defining enough, right? That is a definition, a plan that I have that is like straightforward. I can trust it. And, that's what I know. It's defined. All right. So the key themes in here is without enough, you always feel behind. And if you can't define enough, like what it looks like, you will chase more forever. Wealth, status, wins, followers, and it becomes a never-ending trap. Like for me, this YouTube channel is a great, example of this, right? I have 500 people that subscribed. Hoorah for me, right? We have like a little over 100 people in the Discord, and I could become obsessed with those numbers, and like I could try and tweak analytics, and I can try and like, what can I do to like make these videos more exciting and more, whatever, right? I could hyper focus on that stuff. I could even like, pay for advertising, which I haven't done anything. This is all organic growth so far. Like that could become my focus. But my focus rather is just delivering content that hopefully truly helps people, because I'm only delivering out what has truly helped me become successful at day trading. Because this day trading junk is hard enough as it is, without all the extra noise, right? So I just keep it simple, right? So the most dangerous financial drug, and this is where we're going to take a shift, is comparison, right? One of my closest friends has like almost 200,000 followers. And then another guy that I'm close to, a good friend of mine, same thing. Actually, I think he's busted 200 now. Am I supposed to be jealous? Am I supposed to do a comparison? Am I supposed to like watch his videos and then go try and make one like that? No. I mean, I shouldn't. It does cross my mind sometimes, but they've just been doing this a lot longer. They've had a lot more exposure, right? And I just try to, be like, who cares? If you follow me, you follow me. If you don't. I don't care. It's like I'm trying to have that kind of mentality because I don't want this like drug of comparison, right? And that's why this book hit me on so many different levels, not just in my financial life, but it hit me in my business and the YouTube life, because of course I would love to make that my main income, and maybe someday it will. But if it doesn't, I don't care. I make money day trading, and I find a huge amount of satisfaction by pouring out to others what has been poured into me that would help me be successful. So that's the main goal. And if it ends up making money in the long run, hoorah, let's go. All right. But seriously, it's the most dangerous financial drug, right? If I'm trying to keep up with my buddy, who is just like bankrolling, who throws around a Bitcoin size trade consistently and doesn't even like flinch at it. And I take my account, which is not the same size, and I start comparing his trades to mine. I'm like, well, if I risk this much, then I can make the same kind of gains he is, right? That is a dangerous slippery slope, right? Because my risk my risk is what defines what my earning potential is, right? And if I can't appropriately risk my account to match what he's making, then I'm on a risk too much and I'm going to lose it. Okay. I've just seen it over and over again. And it has happened to me before too. Okay. All right. So I didn't even realize. Okay. So the seduction of taking bigger risks. Many financial blowups happen from people who have already had more than enough, but they still push for more, letting ego override logic. That's kind of something I did a lot in my beginning trading because I was super ambitious. Like I have this ambitious fire inside of me for business and money and all kinds of stuff, right? Networking, AI, day trading. Like I have an ambitious drive, and sometimes the seduction of taking that bigger risk because I can make it there quicker and faster. I'm telling you, I've already been burned many times. I've already been like, not doing that anymore. And I really, really, really do work to not let those things happen anymore. All right. So this is where I'm at. Freedom is worth more to me. The true goal of money is control over your time, not endless accumulation, right? If I were to find a job that paid me triple what I make, right? Like combined all my businesses and combined my work and all of that, and you put it all together, and then someone shows me a job that I can make 3 times that, right? But I have to like work 12-hour days, 6-7 days a week, and travel and be away from the. I'm gonna turn it down because I don't want. That is not freedom. That is bondage. I don't want it. I mean, I don't know about you guys, but I started day trading to have freedom. And what I found is that mentality can bite us sometimes, right? Because we're like, I want to be free. So I come into the market, I do whatever I want. And then you get in the market, you do whatever you want. What do? You get wrecked, right? Because to be consistent in this business, you have to put yourself in a box with all these rules. And you're like, but day trading has no rules. That's why I like it. Well, okay. All right. Go ahead and go follow your no rules. Like we have a very clear system that we trade. It has very clear rules. And if you follow it, you're profitable. End of discussion. Like for real. And it's easy. Actually, the dumber I've made it, the more money I make. It's insane, right? Like some of my more complex strategies I used to use, they don't compare to this dumb strategy that I trade now. It's kind of crazy. It's pretty wild. So freedom is worth way more, right? So that's what I focus on. I'm not going to take on something that costs me more of my time, right? And it's going to, if I have to give up more of my time to get something, that's not true freedom, all right? So core quotes. The hardest financial skill is getting the goalpost to stop moving. This is huge, okay? A lot of people will kick a W right at beginning of the day. Like many times, nowadays I love it when this happens. But when I like set up for a kick and I like kick that sucker and it goes right into the goalpost right in the morning. 9:40 I'm done. 9:50. All right? It's just straight W. I love it. I'm done. I walk away, man. I got other stuff I can do. I want the freedom. That's why I day trade. I don't want to sit there all day and trade 10, 12 hours a day trying to scalp every little dime out of the market. I really don't want that. Okay? So you got to learn to like stop moving the goalposts. further away. All right. I make 300 bucks a day. I make 500 bucks a day. I make $1,000 a day. I make $10,000. There's nothing wrong with scaling up. And I have a straightforward scaling plan. As my accounts grow, I have a healthy scaling plan that allows me to risk more to make more. Okay. But that's planned. I'm not just moving my goalposts because I think I can, right? Enough is not too little, right? I don't mean to make it sound that way. Enough is realizing the opposite, that an insatiable desire for more can lead you to ruin, right? Like when you read Market Wizards and you read about some of these people that became like 100 millionaires and then all of a sudden they're broke. It's like, how do you go from 20, 50, 100 million to broke? What? Like in my mind, that just seems absolutely impossible. But then I think about when I first started trading and I took $400, I turned it to 6,500 in like an afternoon because I had found the golden strategy. Y'all better watch out. I mean, I was gonna be retired by Christmas, and obviously you don't take 400 to make 6,500 if you're not like psycho leveraging, and like YOLOing every single trade. But man, I thought like, dude, I found it. Like I had just started. Of course, it's that green luck. Like everybody goes through this stage, right? And I was like, wow. And then the next day, I slowly let that thing dwindle, and I started like trying to revenge trade and all. Dude, that account went down to $40. Okay, $40. That's actually one of my stories. $40. And then I sold like an old computer that I had revamped, and I think I got 200 bucks out of it. So I put $200 in there, so I had 240 bucks. So nowadays that account is just like kissing six figures. Okay, so I took $40 plus 200, $240 and turned it into that. Right, that's not a wow. Look at me. That was over like 4 years of trading, and that was like promising myself that I was not going to keep putting money into an account that I was losing. Right, I was like, if I lose this 200, because I learned real fast, like, wow, I made a ton of money and I lost a ton of money, but this is doable. Plus I was connected to other traders around me that were seven figure traders, and I'm like, dang, y'all. Like if I didn't have them sitting next to me, I don't know if I would have believed in this. I might have given up at some point. But anyway, so long story. Anyway, crazy story. Okay, so there is no reason to risk what you have and need for what you don't have and don't need, right? So my goal is not really to become like some millionaire trader. I think it'll happen in like long term. Like I really do. I like see it, right? I'm like, yeah, okay, I'm gonna make a lot of money doing this, but it doesn't need to be this year. It doesn't need to be tomorrow, right? I'm just gonna let it happen. And if it doesn't, I don't care. It's already been life changing. I'm cool with that, right? Enough is enough. But I mean, I do have that ambitious fuel and I allow it to fuel me. So let's go, right? So, key takeaways: you become vulnerable when you can't define your finish line. That's actually pretty powerful. Comparison is the fast lane to sorry. Comparison is the fast lane to unhappiness. It's so true, right? Like I talk about these guys that I'm connected to, and they really are seven figure traders. And sometimes I'm like, well, I kind of wish I could make $26,000 in a couple of weeks. That's kind of nice, but comparison. Am I going to be unhappy about where I'm at? No, because they were where I am years back, and so I have the potential of kind of like catching up to where they are, and hopefully they keep growing and they'll always be ahead of me. But I'm going to be cool with that, right? Because it's already impacted my life in a very positive way, and that's what I want to focus on, right? So the richest feeling is having enough, not having everything. 100%. It makes me think of The Emperor's New Groove, man. Dude, that movie makes me laugh. It is so funny, man. He is just like, he has that insatiable, like, has to have every, you talk about like everything that we're talking about here, like he lives out, right? But then he finds out that it's not all about that, right? It's all about like connection and family and all that. So, good story. I like the movie, but let's move on. We're here for the book, not Emperor's New Groove. Okay. So financial ruin often comes after chasing just a little bit more. How many of you can tell me in the comments, like for real, how many times if you hit your goal and then you're like, I just want a little bit more? I have a story, I kid you not. I was getting an account funded, okay? And I was $6 away. Like I put my TP on the chart. I thought I did the math. I think it was a little bit of slippage, and it slipped, and I was $6 down. I'm like, all right, let me just grab this real quick. I'm not kidding when I said I turned around, I was 600 in the hole. I'm like, how did this happen? I needed $6. Like all I had to do is enter, dude, green, just a little bit of green close done. And it was like enter red, and like enter red, enter red. And I'm like, and I ended up 600 down. I like walked away so upset and was just like, you know what? It's okay. Took a deep breath. I'm like, tomorrow. Next day, I got the account funded. All right. But I was close to going on tilt. Like I was super close. I was ready to be like, YOLO, let's go. Either I'm going to get my $6, or I'm done. Like, like the mentality just gets you sometimes. Come on. All right. Don't judge me. That's a true story though. I promise. It was so funny. Okay. Your long-term survival in the markets depends on restraint rather than aggression. So like I said, I do have this ambition fuel inside of me. And if I'm not careful with it, dude, like I've literally been like, I don't care, I will YOLO. And I've literally YOLO'd a funded account that I had already pulled like multiple payouts from. And I just got like upset and was like, you know what? I don't care. I'm YOLOing it. And then it's like you YOLO and then you get wrecked and you're like, what was that? So what? You were gonna have a red day. But you just blew an opportunity for the fourth and fifth and sixth. I think I'd pulled like 3 or 4 payouts out of it already. So I was like, all that hard work, and you're just gonna like, who cares? Now, just for transparency, I did have more than one funded account, and I wasn't like copying. So it's like I knew in my mind I had other accounts, but that doesn't make it okay. That does not make it okay. I used to be a really, really revenge trader. I was a ninja revenge trader. Almost too good. Like I was almost too good, because I was not afraid to YOLO, which was a good thing, but it was a very bad thing because it really creates awful behavior, right? But I had so much like reward from doing it because I mean, I saved so many accounts, I recovered so many red days, and I made a lot of money doing that kind of stuff. But fortunately, I kind of woke up and was like, "That's stressful. It's gambling. I don't even like the way it makes me feel afterwards. To be honest with you, the whole dopamine drop and all that. I don't really care for that. Um, so I started being more consistent. And was like, you know what? I'll take my little red day. Like seriously, I'd rather have my couple $100 red day and not worry about it. So, all right, let's keep going. Some reflection questions for you. All right, what does enough look like in your in your finances as a trader, right? So, what does it look like for you? What is enough? Is it 6 figures? Is it replace your job? There's all kinds of stuff. A lot of people don't realize that replacing that job thing. Like I got multiple side hustles going. I got a full time gig. I day trade. Like I'm stacking, and there's a reason because there's a mental freedom to knowing that my trading doesn't put bread on my table. Okay, I know it can, and it does technically, but it's not like if I fail, I'm gonna like not be able to pay my mortgage. And to me, that the financial freedom or the mentality that allows me to have, it helps me be a better trader. It really does. That's why a lot of these guys that have these communities that are doing well in the community, like making money from the community, it is a little easier on them. Okay, and please don't think I'm picking on them. Like they've earned it, right? They've totally earned it. But that helps because if they have a $500 red day, but they still made $1,000 from their community, they don't care, right? It's so much less to worry about. So I do believe in stacking jobs, side hustles, day trading. I don't believe in just throwing it all in one basket. I like having that multi stream. Because if one stream dies, I'm okay. All right. Where in your life do you feel the pull of comparison? Like I said, I've got definitely two guys for sure that I'm very close to that just kill it. And it's sometimes I do struggle with that, you know. But they're a few years further down the road than I am, so I'm chasing their heels. I'm coming for them. All right, but in a fun way, not in a comparison way. All right. Have you ever risked something important to gain something unimportant? That's huge, for sure. So, what would change in your trading if your goal was consistency rather than more? That's huge. Like you guys should pause on that one and take a little time to answer that. That's amazing. All right. So now we're going to talk about like just a little bit of like focus area application. So risk discipline, set a hard rule for max daily, weekly losses. Wanting more doesn't blow the account, right? So you don't blow it. Define your goals. Write out actual targets, income goals, contract size, account level. Stop shifting mid journey. You know, this is so on point, guys. All right. Trading psychology, adjust your 10 trades. Audit your last 10 trades, which were taken out of greed, FOMO, or comparison, right? Like someone throws up a big W and you're like, oh, I need to, oh, I wish I was in that short, or oh, I was, I wish I had taken that, like you got to quit the comparison. Sometimes I recommend people take a step back from like a community. I think communities are great. Communities are powerful. Obviously, I have one, right? And I love sharing in there successes and failures and everything. But I know sometimes, like, when you're watching someone else do good and you had a red day, it just totally like, you start that whole comparison thing. But if they're trading a different trade plan, sometimes my trade plan works and my buddies doesn't, right? I was on a call with like 11 people and everybody was taking a long and I took a short and I was the only one. And then everyone paused and asked me why. And I explained why and what I was seeing and, pulled out my charts and talked about it. And then as I'm explaining, the market just like took this huge dive. And then of course everyone on the call is like, "Whoa, you know what you're doing." I'm like, "No, I just this is just my trade model. I went in, it actually played out in my favor. Most of the time it doesn't, but it did." So it just made me look like, some, market reading guru. And I'm like, no, I was, I just lost trades yesterday, you know? So you just got to watch out for that comparison, right? Like, I don't really let people elevate me, onto a platform. Cause I'm like, please don't, cause I'm just going to fall off. Right. So, consistency, over more is huge. Okay. Prioritize survival and stability. Everybody says, risk management. Risk management's everything, but do you really understand what that means? Right? One of my back testing videos I did, I ran like 180 trades back, and I adjusted the take profits to try and squeeze extra, and I did. I got a few extra R for the year. I think it was like 3 or something R, 4 R. It wasn't much. But it was still more. I was like, okay, cool. And then I did a stop loss management on the same exact trades. It was like 15 R more, 17 R more. And my brain clicked and was like, well, in this strategy, if you're closing, 30% of the time in the green, which I know a lot of people are like, ew. I'm like, hey, but it's a profitable strategy. It's like, like when you're losing 70% of the time, and so when you can mitigate losses in that 70%, you're making a huge impact on your numbers. And that spreadsheet went from like, oh man, I can't remember the exact numbers, guys. So don't like quote me. You can go watch the videos. It was like 28R and it added like 14R or something. So it was like a whole third more. And it was just like, yeah, that's because it was all focused on risk management and it was just a static take profit, So it's huge. So prioritize survival and stability instead of high risk attempts for big jumps. Just let the profits come in slowly. All right, mini exercise. Write the definition of enough money. Write the definition of enough trading success. Compare them to your current goals and your current behavior, right? Whatever goals you're actually going for, Like, because a lot of people are like, oh, if I could just do what I just laid out here in this golden strategy I found, I'll buy a Lambo by Christmas. And it's like, okay, so how realistic is that? And are you really defining enough? Are you defining enough trading success? Is that realistic? Do you have a $2 million account that you can actually appropriately risk that much money to, buy? You guys get what I'm saying, right? So circle any goalposts that keep it moving and bring them back to center. Okay, like for real. Focus on moving your goalposts back to where they're supposed to go, right? And yes, you want to move them, but you want to move them mathematically with an actual plan, like a business plan. Okay, this is huge. This quote is huge. You can get like a tat or something, if you're into tattoos, you get this tattooed on your chest or something. It's kind of weird and crazy, but wealth isn't about getting more. It's about knowing when you have enough and resisting the temptation to risk it for what doesn't matter. Okay. A lot of people want these expensive cars for status and this and that. And, some people just like cars. And I get that. Like, I got a buddy, he's got a pretty sweet car. And I'm like, I would never buy that. Like, I would have, if I lived I'm in a mountain area, so I would want like a Toyota, 4Runner or, something like that. Right. But if I was like kind of city boyish and, and I was like back in Florida where it's flat and, Toyota Camry, like the Onyx edition, why not? Like get the sweet edition of it, but that's my dream sports car. you know, it's like a Camry, because it just makes sense on paper, right? So anyway, wealth isn't about getting more. It's about knowing when you have enough and resisting the temptation to risk it for what doesn't matter. All right. I think that's how a lot of people get hyper focused, and they'll take one handful of trades, just a couple of trades will smoke weeks of profits, right? We've all seen the graphs, just doot, 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 and then just, and it just like it kills days and weeks of work in one trading session. All right. And I know how hard this is, and I've done it, so that's why I know. Anyways, guys, I hope these videos are truly helpful for you. You can join our community down below. We have a huge free section. We do have a VIP section where you can live trade with us. We focus on trading a model that is profitable, that is just, almost absolutely mechanical, and that's why we do it. You could also, come in, just ask questions, see what we do. I have my other videos and things, but share this out with people that'll be helpful to them. And anyways, I'll see you guys in the next video.